One of the things you've talked about in your platform that I want to ask you about is the idea of raising teachers' salaries.
Yes.
Because a lot of people have different ideas on education.
Yes.
And I feel like you define yourself because you're not saying, let's not put more money into schools, let's put more money into teachers' pockets.
Right.
Explain how you came to that decision.
Well, first of all, personal story. My first grade teacher, Mrs. Frances Wilson, God rest her soul, attended my law school graduation.
That's fantastic.
I think most of us would say that there was a teacher or more than one teacher in our lives who convinced us that we were special. We weren't particularly special, but they convinced us and we believed them. And that's part of what led us to be in these situations where we have achieved any level of success. There are two groups of people raising our children. Parents, and it could be grandparents, aunties, and uncles, and teachers. And we are not paying our teachers their value. Teachers are paid 10% or more less than similarly educated college graduates. And so what I am proposing is the first time in our nation, what would be a federal investment in closing the teacher pay gap, which would result in closing a gap of about $13,500 a year. $13,500 a year means a year's worth of mortgage payments in most places. $13,500 a year means a year's worth of groceries in most places. $13,500 a year means putting a significant dent in student loan debt. And the way I think about it, Seth, is that we've got students who are in college right now who are excelling in science, who would love nothing more than to teach middle school students. But they're looking at student loan debt, they're looking at their bills, and they've decided maybe I need to go and work on Wall Street because I need to pay these things off. I want that person teaching in that school. And frankly, I think that you can judge a society based on the way it treats its children. And, right?
Yeah.
And one of the greatest expressions of love that a society can give to its children is to invest in their education. And by extension, that means investing in teachers who are right now working 2 and 3 jobs to pay the bills.
Yeah. Well, as the son of a public school teacher, I would like you to know that she would have blown that money as quickly as you gave it to her. She's a unique case. I think most people would be better with it, but she...
But seriously, I have met teachers. First of all, 94% of the teachers in our schools right now, in public schools, 94% of them are coming out of their own pocket to pay for school supplies. I have talked to teachers, one in South Carolina, who was bussing tables as her second job, and then realized in the same restaurant there were 4 other teachers that were also bussing tables. Because they have a passion to teach, but they got to pay the bills. I want them, instead of a second job, to spend that time in professional development and all the things they want to do. And so that's why I'm proposing the first ever investment in teacher pay.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm very happy to hear that. I want to ask, you have...
Thank you.
You have a longer, certainly a longer record in law enforcement than you do as a senator. I was 2002. When did you start? When were you?
I was elected in 2003.
2003. So, some progressives have taken issue with the way you were a law enforcement official over those years. Do you feel as though your perspective on things has evolved since you first started the job, or do you feel as though your record is sort of being unfairly looked at by progressives who think that maybe there was a problem with over-incarceration or issues like that?
Well, let's be clear. America has a problem with mass incarceration. Let's be clear. The criminal justice system of our country is deeply flawed and needs to be fixed, and has in many cases been informed by bias and just informed by, I think, a very frankly, backward policy, which is that it has been formed in a way that is about reacting to crime after it happens instead of thinking about preventing crime before it happens. I made a very conscious decision to become a prosecutor. My parents were active in the civil rights movement. My sister went on to lead the ACLU. Right? When I decided to be a prosecutor, it's because I felt that this is a system that needs to be reformed, and I want to have a job of doing it from the inside. And that's why I was able to create one of the first in the nation focuses of a DA's office on reentry initiatives. I created an initiative that ended up being a national model around bringing drug sales offenders, getting them into job counseling and jobs, and in that way reducing the likelihood that they would reoffend. And I'm proud of that work. But, I am also thankful that over the intervening, 15 years, that our country has evolved to understand we really have got to reform this system. The tough-on-crime approach to criminal justice policy is not smart, and we have got to take a position that instead of saying soft on crime or tough on crime, let's be smart on crime. which means let's focus on prevention as an important way to achieve public safety. Let's also recognize the flaws in the system.
I want to ask you one last question as well. I was realizing you won your election in 2016.
Yeah.
That was your first time serving the Senate.
Yes.
A very exciting night.
Yeah.
It was also the night Donald Trump won.
Yes.
Was that the weirdest? Was that the weirdest night ever?
It was incredibly...
Was it like being someone on the Titanic going,
It
I got a boat,
was-
I got a life raft?
It was really, well, first of all, so we were going, you know, we do a friends and family small
Yeah.
dinner before the party. We were hoping it would be a party. And my husband kept grunting as we were in the car because he was watching the ticker
The Needle,
tape.
yeah,
Yes,
we all watched The Needle, yeah.
And he was like, oh, this, and you know, he was making noise, and I was like, what's going on? And I said, no, it's too early, it can't be. And as the night progressed, of course,
Yeah.
that's what it was. It was extremely bittersweet, and I tore up all the notes that I had prepared to read, and I just took the stage and I said, we will fight. We will fight. And then I went home. And then I went home and I sat on the couch with a family-sized bag of nacho Doritos. And I did not share one chip with anybody. And I just watched the TV
Yeah.
in utter shock and dismay.
Well, I think there were very few stores that had Doritos left.
Yeah.
By the
Yeah.
following morning.
Right.
Hey, thank you so much for being here. Best of luck in the ensuing year or so. Senator Kamala Harris, everybody.